My beloved child, perhaps you have lived for so long beneath a gray sky that you have come to believe light is something reserved for others. Perhaps you have grown accustomed to heavy shoulders, shallow breaths, and mornings when, before joy can even awaken within you, your body already feels worn out. You have called exhaustion maturity, depletion responsibility, and days without any fire left in your heart the natural course of life. But today I draw near to you, not to condemn you, but to lift the veil so you may see a gentle truth. You were not created to live like a flickering lamp in the corner of a house. I have placed within you a light that belongs to heaven, and that light was never meant to be covered with dust by habits that drain life away. As it is written, you are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Therefore, my child, do not accept darkness as your eternal dwelling place. For I have called you out of gloom and into my marvelous light. There are forms of weariness that do not come in a single day, but quietly grow through the many times you ignore the warning within your heart. A little lack of sleep, a little anxiety not surrendered to me, a little food that does not nourish, a little bitterness kept inside, a little laziness hidden behind the excuse of busyness, a little compromise with what you know is not wholesome. All of these gather like a thick layer of dust upon the window of the soul. The light is still there, but it can no longer shine through fully. You think you have lost your vitality, but in truth many parts of you are merely being covered. I do not call you a failure. I call you a garden that needs to be tended again, a spring that needs to be cleared, a house that must open its doors so the holy wind may enter. When David prayed, "Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me," it was not only a plea for the soul, but the cry of a person longing for his whole life to return to holy order. Look at a seed lying in the hand of the sower. It is small, silent, and seems to be of little significance. Yet within it already exists a future forest, a season of flowers not yet bloomed, a shade not yet revealed. However, if that seed is buried among stones, refuse, and thorns, the life within it will be choked, not because the seed has no life, but because the environment around it does not allow that life to rise. You are the same. My beloved, I have placed within you gifts, love, resilience, joy, and courage. But if you continue allowing the toxins of fear, envy, resentment, self-indulgence, and choices that weaken the body to occupy space within you, then the good within you will struggle to rise. Did my son not speak of the seed that fell among thorns? That word was choked by the cares of this life and the fascination with fleeting things, so it bore no fruit. Today, I do not only want to sow more into you, I want to help you uproot the thorns that have taken over the soil of your heart. So do not fear the cleansing process. My child, when I place my hand upon the hidden corners of your life, it is not the hand of a destroyer, but the hand of the gardener. I know which branch must be pruned so the tree may bear more fruit. I know which habit is draining the oil from your lamp. I know which relationship is clouding the waters within your heart. I know which sounds you listen to each day are throwing your mind into disorder. And I also know which desire is disguising itself as comfort while secretly holding you captive. You do not need to win this battle by the dryness of your own willpower. What I call you to first is not striving, but surrender. Open the door. Say to me, "Father, enter the place I have locked away. Teach me to let go of what does not belong to life." When you surrender, my power will do what your own strength cannot. Do you remember Naaman, the mighty commander who carried leprosy? He had honor, status, and strength in the eyes of people. Yet beneath his splendid garments was a body decaying in secret. When he was sent to the prophet Elisha, he expected a grand ceremony, a radiant healing according to his own imagination. But the instruction given to him was simple: go down and wash in the Jordan 7 times. At first he was angry, because such humility touched his pride. Yet when he humbled himself and obeyed the instruction, his flesh was restored like the flesh of a little child. Do you see? Healing often begins with a very small, very ordinary act of obedience, yet it requires you to lay down your own way. I do not always lead you into renewal with the sound of a loud trumpet. Sometimes I simply tell you to drink water, rest, step into the light, forgive, leave what is unclean, reorder your life, and return to what is pure. Whoever has humility will see miracles in simple things. I know you may be afraid of change, because old things, though they hurt you, are still familiar to you. There are chains that have been with you so long that you have mistaken them for part of your own body. There are dark rooms you have lived in for so long that at first the light hurts your eyes. But my beloved, do not confuse familiarity with peace. Do not confuse numbness with stability. Do not confuse no longer feeling pain with being healed. I have not come to patch your life temporarily with a few passing words of comfort. I have come to renew it from the roots. As dry, cracked ground receives the first rain deep into every layer, so my grace will enter the places you thought were dead. I will not break the bruised reed, nor will I extinguish the smoldering wick. I will lift, heal, rekindle, and cause the barren places within you to bloom. So begin, my child, not with self-hatred, but with reverence for the life I have given. Cleanse not because you despise yourself, but because you value the temple in which I dwell. Let go of toxins, not to prove that you are worthy, but because you have been loved too deeply to continue living beneath the measure of grace. Choose what is good for your body, what is pure for your mind, what is upright for your soul, and what is peaceful for your relationships. Each time you reject what darkens you, you open one more window for the light. Each time you surrender to me, instead of surrendering to an old habit, a new spring is opened, and little by little, you will realize that you are not merely less tired, but more deeply alive, not merely stronger, but brighter, not merely restored, but becoming a witness to my kindness. Let me enter your garden today. Give me the stones, the thorns, the refuse, the things you have hidden, the things you have grown used to, the things you no longer have the strength to uproot by yourself. I do not despise that garden because it has become overgrown. I see the coming harvest. I am not disgusted by the soil of your heart. I know it can become fertile beneath my hand. You only need to open your heart, and I will begin. For you were not created to fade away in weariness, nor were you called to exist in the shadows. You are a child of light. You are the lamp I desire to place upon a lampstand. You are the field I desire to make bloom. Rise in the tenderness of surrender, for I am renewing you, and the life I placed within you will rise with greater strength than you ever imagined. My beloved child, listen to my word in peace, for this is not the season for you to fade away in cold ashes, but the season in which I breathe life into the embers that have long been glowing quietly within your heart. I am awakening those who carry fire, but not the kind of fire born from anger, rivalry, or fleshly ambition. It is the fire that comes from my altar, the fire that purifies what is unclean, illuminates what has been hidden, melts hardness, and causes your soul to awaken in holiness. It is written, our God is a consuming fire. But do not fear that fire, for my fire does not come to consume you, it comes to burn away the straw and chaff, so that the true gold within you may be revealed, and so that what belongs to me and you may shine like dawn after a long night. I know you have grown weary trying to keep a lamp burning when its oil was nearly gone. I know you have tried to stand firm with the little strength you had left. I know you have smiled at others, while inside you there were only sighs. But today I say to you, I will not let your lamp go out in your hands. I will pour new oil upon you, not once and then no more, but day by day, morning by morning, and in every moment you return to me. Do you remember the 5 wise virgins in the story my son told? They did not only have lamps, they also had oil in reserve. When the bridegroom came, those who carried only an outward appearance without inward preparation fell into lack. But those who were watchful entered the wedding feast in the light. My child, many people want a lamp so they may be seen, but few are willing to remain in the secret place to receive oil. I do not want you to have only the form of zeal. I want you to have true life within your heart. A lamp may cause others to see you, but oil is what helps you burn long before me. Therefore, do not seek only the recognition of people. Seek the fullness of the Holy Spirit. Do not merely care for the outward appearance of the journey. Allow me to touch the deepest hidden places, where you once concealed fear, exhaustion, feelings of inferiority, and questions you did not dare to speak. It is there that I will renew you. The burdens that once made your shoulders sink will no longer rule over you as before, not because the road will suddenly be without challenges, but because I will teach you to walk in my yoke. My son said, "My yoke is easy, and my burden is light." When you carry life by your own strength, even small things can exhaust you. But when you learn to lean upon me, even great things become places where you experience grace. I will not always remove every responsibility from you, but I will remove from your heart the heaviness that does not come from me. I will replace anxiety with trust, haste with peace, and the voice of self-condemnation with the gentle reminder that you belong to me. When you understand that you are my child, not an orphan trying to prove your worth, strength will begin to rise within you like a tree planted by streams of water. There were things that once made you shrink back because you did not truly know who you are in me. You looked at your wounds and thought they were your name. You looked at failure and thought it was your destiny. You looked at delay and thought I had forgotten. But I say to you, your identity is not written by your falls, not determined by the judgments of the world, and not confined by lonely seasons. You are known by me, called by name, redeemed by love, and placed within a purpose no one else can copy. It is written, I have called you by your name, you are mine. Let that word go deeper than every voice that ever made you feel small. When you know that you belong to me, you will no longer tremble before darkness like one without a home. You will rise like one who has a father, a covenant, an inheritance, and a purpose. And my beloved, I want you to remember that quiet faithfulness is never forgotten by heaven. There are days when you obey and no one sees. There are nights when you cry and still choose to forgive. There are moments when you want to give up, yet still whisper a prayer. There are opportunities when you could retaliate, but you choose silence and wisdom. I have seen it all. I have not missed a single tear, nor forgotten a single step you have taken in faith. My harvest does not arrive late. It comes at the appointed time. As Scripture teaches, do not grow weary in doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we do not give up. Therefore, do not despise the days of small things. Do not think that quiet obedience is meaningless. Seeds sown in tears will one day rise as golden fields beneath my light. I will place you in places you once did not dare to imagine, not so that you may boast in yourself, but so that you may know I am faithful to the word I have spoken. I do not lift you up because you have made yourself worthy, but because my grace has chosen to reveal kindness through your life. Look at David. When Samuel came to Jesse's house to anoint the future king, people thought of the tall, strong, noticeable ones. But David was out in the field with the sheep, in a place no one considered the center of destiny. Yet I saw his heart. I brought that young shepherd out from obscurity and placed the oil of anointing upon his head. My child, I still do the same. I see you in the places others do not remember. I know you in seasons when no one applauds, and when the appointed time comes, I can open a door that no hand can shut. Yet do not measure your journey by the steps of another. Every star in the sky has its own place, its own brightness, its own orbit, and one star shining does not diminish the value of another. I created you with an identity that cannot be duplicated, a melody no one else can sing for you, a testimony no one else can live in your place. When you see another person enter a season of harvest, do not let your heart shrink in insecurity. Bless them, then return to rest in me. What I am doing in them does not reduce what I am doing in you. Another person's field is not proof that your seed has died. Some roots need more time to grow deeper before the tree can rise higher. Some promises need to be sheltered in silence so that when they bloom, they will not be broken by the wind of pride. I am completing my work within you with the precision of the one who knows the end from the beginning. No trial is wasted. No season of waiting is meaningless. No moment in which you cling to faith ever falls from my memory, even when the outside appears quiet. In the spiritual realm, I am still arranging things. Do you remember Daniel when he prayed? The answer had already been sent, but there was resistance in the unseen realm that caused him to wait. Even so, heaven was not silent. The angel was still sent. The answer was still on its way, and what I had ordained was not canceled. My child, there are things moving that your eyes have not yet seen. There are paths being cleared, people being positioned, doors being prepared, and obstacles being removed by my command. So guard your heart from impatience. Do not dig up the seed simply because you have not yet seen the sprout. Do not give up midway simply because the sky is still dark before dawn. Do not allow delay to make you doubt my love. I am not unfaithful, and my word does not return empty. What I began in you, I will complete in my way, in my timing, and by my power. Continue to pray. Continue to walk in purity. Continue to love when love is not returned. Continue to be faithful in small things. Let the oil in your lamp remain full through my presence. For when my hour comes, you will understand that every hidden season was preparation. Every tear was watering the promised land, and every obedient step was leading you into the place I had ordained for you beforehand. My beloved, I am doing a new thing. It is not as noisy as the drums of the world, but it is as deep as an underground spring. It does not require you to compete, only to remain in me. It does not demand that you become a copy of anyone else, only invites you to become the person I called from the beginning. Lift your eyes, but do not compare. Open your heart, but do not fear. Step forward, but do not leave my hand. The fire I have placed within you will not be extinguished. The oil I give will not run dry, and the promise I have placed upon your life will not be swallowed by darkness. I am your Father, the one who is faithful forever. What I have spoken, I will do, and what I have sown within you, I will cause to bloom in its proper season. My beloved child, There are seasons in your life that are like a valley covered in mist, where you walk without seeing clearly ahead, where what happens seems to go against everything you have prayed for, everything you have hoped for, and everything you once thought was reasonable and right. You look at your circumstances and wonder why the road is still dark when you have believed, why the door remains closed when you have prayed, why your heart is still placed in long silences that ache when you have tried to live uprightly. But I want you to hear this with the deepest part of your soul. You have not been forgotten by me. You have not been pushed outside my plan. You have not been lost from my embrace. There are things that cannot be measured by the brief understanding of human beings, nor explained by the maps the world gives. There are seasons that are not seasons of abandonment, but seasons in which I cover you, not signs that you have been excluded, but evidence that I am keeping you in the secret place for a purpose greater than what you can now understand. My child, when a seed is buried in the ground, it may think it has been hidden, forgotten, and separated from the sunlight. But in the darkness of soft soil, new life is quietly stirring. The old shell cracks, tender roots begin to find their way, and what seemed like an ending is actually the beginning of growth. You are the same. Perhaps you are in an unnamed land, where everything is not yet formed, where the answer is not yet clear, where promises seem to lie still in silence. But I say to you, being hidden is not the same as being buried. I did not place you in the secret place to destroy you. I placed you there to nourish you, protect you, deepen your roots, and prepare you for a season that, if it came too soon, you would not yet be strong enough to stand in. My word is written, unless a grain of wheat falls into the ground and dies, it remains alone, but if it dies, it bears much fruit. John 12:24. There are things within you that must be laid down, not because I want to take away your joy, but because I want you to bear more fruit. Do not be afraid when you cannot name the season you are living in. Not every path I lead you on has a signpost from the beginning. There are places where I do not give you a map, because I want you to learn to hold my hand. There are times when I do not explain every detail, because I want you to grow in trust, not only in understanding. You often want me to show you the whole road, but I often give you enough light for the next step. My word is a lamp to your feet and a light to your path. Psalm 119:105. That lamp does not necessarily illuminate the entire distant horizon, but it is enough to keep you from stumbling in today's step. Therefore, do not despise one small step taken in faith. One step of obedience in the mist is more precious than 1,000 strong declarations on a sunny day. I know you have asked why prayers that seemed good have not been answered immediately. You prayed for a way to open, but the path became more winding. You prayed for healing, but the wound seemed to be touched more deeply. You prayed for peace, but before your eyes came another storm. My beloved, do not quickly conclude that delay means denial. The Father in heaven is never mistaken in his timing. When Martha and Mary sent word that Lazarus, the one the Lord loved, was seriously ill, my son did not come immediately. To human eyes, it seemed like delay. To the grieving hearts of the two sisters, it may have been hard to understand. But when my son came to the tomb after 4 days, he did not merely heal an illness, he revealed resurrection power. He said, I am the resurrection and the life. John 11:25. Do you see? There are times when I do not answer in the way you expect, because I am preparing to reveal an aspect of my glory that you have never known before. Therefore, when everything goes against what you think should happen, remember that your eyes see the present, but I see eternity. You see a closed door, I see the abyss behind that door. You see an unanswered prayer, I see a blessing not yet ready for its time. You see delay, I see protection. You see yourself being held back, I see you being strengthened to stand more firmly. It is not that I do not hear, I hear even the sighs that have no words. It is not that I do not love, because I love you. I do not place into your hands what would draw you away from me. It is not that I want you to suffer, but there are old shells that only fall away when you pass through fire. And I am in that fire with you, just as I was with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the blazing furnace. People saw them thrown into the fire, but then they saw a fourth one walking among them. You are the same, though the world may only see the circumstances surrounding you. I want you to know that I am present in the very place where you thought you were most alone. There is a story I want you to keep in your heart. Joseph was sold, falsely accused, forgotten in prison, and for many years his life seemed to be nothing but one injustice after another. If seen through ordinary reasoning, anyone could say that destiny had treated him harshly. But in that hidden place, I was preparing a man who would preserve many nations from famine. The coat of many colors was taken from him, but the calling upon his life could not be stolen by anyone. The pit his brothers threw him into could not swallow the promise I had placed upon him. The prison could not lock away the gift I had given him. And at the appointed time, the forgotten one was called before Pharaoh, not to display personal glory, but to become an instrument of life. Later, Joseph said, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good." Genesis 50:20. Write this upon your soul, what others do not understand, what circumstances seem to destroy, what the enemy intends to use to make you fall, I can still turn into a path of salvation, maturity, and blessing. My beloved, I do not hide you because you are useless. I hide you because what I have placed within you is precious. Treasures are not left exposed in the street for dust to trample. New wine needs time to mature deeply. Fragrant oil must be pressed out from what was once crushed. Those whom I use in the light must learn faithfulness in the dark. Do not be impatient to step out while I am still working within. Do not despise the days when no one calls your name. No one praises you, and no one notices the quiet change within you. I notice. I see you choosing what is right when no one knows. I see you keeping your heart tender when you have every reason to become bitter. I see you still lifting your eyes while tears remain wet upon your face. And I say, your Father, who sees in secret, will reward you. Matthew 6:6. My reward does not always arrive with a trumpet before the crowd. Often it comes as deep peace, renewed strength, and wisdom that suffering cannot steal. So do not be quick to hate your hidden place. Perhaps that very place is the cradle of your calling. Perhaps that very silence is the sanctuary where you hear me more clearly. Perhaps that very uncertainty is cutting away from you the habit of relying on visible things, so that you may learn to set your soul upon the solid rock that is me. You do not need to understand everything in order to have peace. You only need to know that I am the one holding all things. You do not need to have an answer for every question in order to keep walking. You only need to believe that the Father who leads you never loses his way. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Proverbs 3:5-6. When you cannot see the way, I am still the way. When you do not know tomorrow, I am already in tomorrow. When you cannot explain the pain, I can still sanctify it. I do not tell you to pretend that you are not hurting. I do not require you to smile in the face of every loss as though your heart were made of stone. You may weep before me. You may tell me that you are tired, afraid, and unable to understand. I do not turn away from your honest weakness. But after you cry, let me wipe your face. After you pour out your heart, Let me place hope back into your chest. After you admit that you do not know the way, let me lead you, for you are my child. And the Father does not abandon his child in an unnamed land. I have called you by name. You belong to me. When you pass through deep waters, I will be with you. When you pass through rivers, they will not overflow you. When you walk through fire, you will not be burned. For I am the Lord your God, Isaiah 43, 2-3. There will come a day when you look back on this season and understand that the silence was not emptiness, but the place where I was writing the deepest lines. You will see that the time of waiting did not cause you to lose what was good, but purified you so that you could receive that good thing with a more mature heart. You will realize that the unnamed land was not the place where you were lost, but the place where I gave you a new name. Be at peace, my beloved. Remain under the shadow of my wings. Let me complete what I have begun. For you have not been abandoned. You are being hidden. You are not being delayed without purpose. You are being prepared at the right time. And when I bring you out of that secret place, your life will not only bear the marks of survival, but will also carry the fragrance of grace, wisdom, and glory that only those who have once been covered by me in the holy shadow can carry.